Spent a lot of time looking back on what happened last night. Not as much what will happen in Game 7. And as I mentioned, a lot of times we have great games in a Game 7 or Game 6. NBA, throughout the NBA, you've had great Game 6s. It's rare when you have the Game 7 that lives up to it. The hype that will surround it. I don't know what these guys do for an encore, and you only have a day of rest, and then you're back in playing a Game 7 on the road if you're San Antonio. You got to be devastated. Miami probably feels like we can breathe a sigh of relief. We can finally exhale. But you still have big questions on both sides. Manu Ginobili, what do you expect from him? Can Duncan do it in the first half like he did, or is he going to play like he did in the second half? Dwayne Wade, what do you have? Not quite sure. LeBron James, a lot of questions. But I thought it would be great to have a person on who has to ask questions, probably not expecting long answers. And it becomes must-see TV at the end of quarters, where if I know that Doris Burke is going to talk to Greg Popovich, I'll hold off on going to get a beer. And God love Doris, because she hangs in there, doesn't take it personally when Pop basically gives a one-word answer. She's a total pro. Doris, kind enough to join us on the show. Doris, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well. 6 down with Pop, Dan, and 1 to go.
Do you ever talk to him off the air, off camera?
Yeah, frankly, he has been responsible for one of the greatest and one of the worst moments in my career, Dan, and he probably doesn't remember either. The first time I had to interview him in one of those end-of-quarter interviews, the first year they instituted it, I have had so much respect for this man, for what he represents on and off the court, for his history as an Air Force Academy graduate, et cetera, that instead of just asking a question, I tried to be smart, and he got so angry that he crossed his arms, his face got red, he got the scariest smile on his face that I had ever seen. I have no recollection of what his answer to that question was. I babbled my way through the second question. I'm on my way back to my seat, and the producer came over my headset and said, "Do you mind if I don't run it?" And I said, "Thank you for not humiliating me," and it never ran. Now, fast forward 2 years, I'm sitting in the analyst chair on a particular game, and we go back to meet with him. It's just the producer, the play-by-play, and myself. And he looked me in the eye. He was making a point, and he said, "Doris, you're a basketball person. You get this." And for a woman who sits in that analyst chair on NBA games on occasion, he'll never have any idea how much that one line has sort of given me confidence to do that job. And I'm sure he doesn't recollect it. He's great to me, Dan. I mean, he couldn't make it any more clear that he likes me, respects me. It's just that for him to switch gears in that moment when all he wants to do is be with his team is an incredibly difficult thing. It is hard for me not to take it personally. I'll be honest with you. When he gave me the turnovers response in the Western Conference Finals, I was sitting at my chair, and I literally was almost welling up. I was that upset. Because you try to do a good job. You know how it is. You want to be good at your job. And it's difficult. I so like and respect him that it says, listen, all I know is Tony Parker told me that he's welled up on more than one occasion, so I didn't feel too terribly.
What is your strategy going into the questions? You get 2 questions. Is that what the agreement is?
The agreement is 2 questions. I try really hard to be respectful of the situation. So if someone's down, or from now on, in Game 6 and Game 7, I'm asking 1 question. These guys have more important things to do than speak to me. But with Pop, it's an entirely different animal. There would never be a time when I interview Pop where I would make a basketball observation. I just won't do it. The thing with Pop is he wants in no way, shape, or form to be led by the person doing the interviewing. He knows more basketball than you. Don't offer an observation. Ask him a very open-ended question, where with every other coach in the league, including Phil Jackson when he was there, you could sort of make an observation and then put a specific question to him. With Pop, no way.
How was interviewing Phil Jackson compared to Popovich?
Easier, much easier. I did not feel the level of angst that I feel. I'm literally, my heart is pounding. I'm in full-out sweat. Thank God the makeup woman has, patted me down going, because I'm terrified every time. Phil Jackson didn't bother me in the least.
We're talking to Doris Burke, ESPN reporter working the NBA Finals for ABC, and the unenviable task of interviewing Greg Popovich. Also grabbing players post-game. How physical does it get when you're trying to grab somebody at the end of a frenetic finish?
It's one, you're trying to let these guys celebrate with their teammates, which anybody who's played team sports, this is what it's about, that you have fought so hard to get to a win or whatever the circumstance may be. So you're trying to give them that moment. And, yeah, it's chaotic. My daughter laughs at me because she inevitably sees me grabbing the jerseys. I'm behind. She goes, it looks like you've got the death grip on these guys. And you just grab them and then, try to put your thought. The hard part last night, Dan, was I thought I was doing the post game. So before I'm doing the Miami Heat, I'm cataloging in my head, okay, what would I be asking Peter Holt or R.C. Buford or Pop or Tim or any of these guys if I've got to do that post-game celebration? So that's the hardest part, is I think sometimes switching gears in a game like last night.
It happened to me the Super Bowl with Arizona and Pittsburgh when Roethlisberger leads them down for the incredible game-winning touchdown. I think I'm interviewing the Bidwells, Larry Fitzgerald. All of a sudden, Roethlisberger, Santonio Holmes, and I'm out on the field. I'm up on a podium, and I'm going, wait a minute. I got to interview the Rooneys and Ben, and it happened so quickly. That trophy is off to the side last night, and with 28 seconds to go, San Antonio up by 5, you're thinking what?
Oh, I'm literally standing with the NBA representative who's got that special whatever armband thing that you need to get through, and literally crouched down. Thank God I had a pantsuit, not a skirt suit on last night. I'm crouched down at the sideline. You literally cannot breathe because there's personnel. The security people from the Miami arena are getting frustrated because they're trying to get to their positions, and there was not space. There are just too many bodies around to move even an inch. It was, and then to see the plays they made. I mean, listen, LeBron James, it's extraordinary to me. This man, and it probably traces back to two things: his verbiage about the decision and his greatness physically, but he's held to this extraordinary standard, and how that guy performs under that weight in the fourth quarter the way he does, really special to watch.
Well, what's happening, Doris, I mentioned I don't remember an athlete, certainly with social media, from possession to possession. His legacy sort of hangs in the balance of he's a choker, he's afraid to take a shot, the turnover, then it's a block shot or a made three. I've never seen somebody scrutinized like this, and he did bring on some of it, but not this.
Agreed. We were at the half, and in the area where, the green room, I guess they call it, when one of our announcers, not on our particular telecast, said he looked scared. And I said, I don't think he looks scared. I think he looks exhausted. And can we not jump all over him? There's still 24 minutes remaining in the game, and it turns out more than 24 minutes. I think to live in that fishbowl on a day-by-day and really by a minute-by-minute basis and still try to somehow be normal, it's an amazing thing. And Dan, I have so much respect for this guy. Every year he goes back and finds the 300 most at-risk kids in Akron, Ohio, those most at risk for dropping out because, as you know, he had an interesting academic career, actually missed a grade when he was a kid because, his mom was having a tough time. There remains this very human element to LeBron in the face of all the scrutiny, and I don't think that's easy.
Before I let you go, you brought this up where, as a woman in that position, you want to be known for what you're doing, not that you're a female, but how tough is it being in that world? For those of us on the outside looking in, and certainly women who are watching, that as well.
Well, I certainly understand, skeptics out there who say, I have never played or coached in the NBA, because it's absolutely accurate. So my perspective can't be what Jeff Van Gundy's is. There is no way I could ever bring that to the table. The first time I did color in an NBA game, I filled in for Clyde Frazier, and I'm a Knicks fan. And I had a guy friend of mine say, how can you fill in for him? I said, I don't look at that. My only job on that role is to get the viewer as close as I happen to be lucky enough to be. And so you'll hear the verbiage I use would be very different from anybody else's. I've been very lucky, and the best thing about it for me is this game has shaped my life since I was 7 years old. So the fact that I still get to be around it is extraordinary, and the players and coaches have been incredibly open to me and respectful and welcoming and instructive, frankly, because I try to learn every day, and I'm constantly asking questions to the point of distraction, I'm sure, for Jeff, because I always grill him. So it's been good. I've been lucky. You know, there are skeptics. And I get it, and I understand it, and as you know, our business is one of subjectivity. You could walk into a room, hear two people discussing the same announcer, and their opinions could be 180 degrees from one another. So it is what it is.
You working on your questions for Pop for Game 7 already?
No, but know that I'll absolutely be terrified as I'm walking up to him in the first period.
Oh, you're a good sport, Doris. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Doris Burke. It's become sort of this vaudeville act. It's a sideshow, and you're in a good way. Like I'm interested to hear what she says and how Popovich answers. Yes, I'm
actually disappointed when she's talking to someone else.
Oh yeah,
she'll be there with LeBron. I'm like,
I don't
man,
care about this.
Come on.
Unless LeBron's giving a one-word answer. Do you have turnovers? And I know that I wasn't going to play it for her, but just to give you the idea of what her world is when you're there. And you know, you got millions of people watching you, and you're there talking to Popovich, and you get this.
Greg Popovich, what happened offensively in that period?
Turnovers.
What about on the defensive end? They had their most productive quarter. What'd you see there?
Turnovers.
Pop, thank you. Mike, verbosity, he will never be accused of.
Awesome. It was great.